my name is Robe Mallari. Today I'm going to be doing a resource review on Diverse BookFinder. So just a short introduction, what is Diverse BookFinder? It is a vast catalog of children and young adult books with an emphasis on Black and Indigenous peoples and people of color, BIPOC for short, so I'll be using that acronym going forward. Since 2002, they've been curating a catalog of picture books, and since 2022, they've been curating a catalog of early readers, chapter books, middle grade, and young adult novels published since 2022. Why I chose this resource? It's an emphasis on diversity and underrepresented groups of people. It allows students to feel seen and valued, not just students or anybody in academia, but also anybody looking at these books that are in these underrepresented groups can feel represented. It supports inclusive teaching and learning. Students become more engaged as a result of feeling valued, leading to an improved teaching and learning experience. All right. So just a couple goals of the resource. I took this directly from their website, as you can tell. So their first goal is to increase the number of children's and young adult books featuring BIPOC. They do this through curating a vast catalog of diverse books, and it makes it easier for teachers who have access to these books. And it's an extremely easy to use search engine. So as you can see here, there's a title, author, short description, and the cover. And then if you look to the left, there's all these filters. So race, culture, ethnicity, religion, sexual orientation, gender, even disability, which is great. There's a bunch of filters that you can look at, and you can even select multiple. So if you want to say, Chinese and this specific religion, or this specific ethnicity and this specific sexual orientation, you can kind of cross-check it to get that specific. So that's how they achieve this goal mentioned up top. The second goal that they've mentioned on their website is to identify good/authentic versus bad versus harmful representations of BIPOC in children's and young adult books. So it doesn't just track the books with these characters, but it also looks at how the characters are portrayed. And they do this to avoid negative stereotypes or any negative ideas. So you see all around entertainment nowadays, you throw in, or these producers are throwing in like, oh, this specific person of color or this specific sexual orientation just for the sake of diversity, but they're portraying them in a way that isn't authentic, or just a way that isn't authentic. So I think it's great that Diverse BookFinder pays attention to it and makes sure that these characters are portrayed in a way that is authentic, so that it is empowering for, not just empowering, but also accurate for anybody looking to read these books. So what I learned, there's more to diversity than just having diverse characters, as I've just mentioned. It is about how they are represented. The importance of thoughtful, informed choices when choosing books for children. Books, like any form of entertainment, can shape how children view themselves. So children are very impressionable, they're still learning. So anything that you expose them to can have a big effect on how they grow up and the ideals that they take on. There are still underrepresented groups, so this is a big one. If we go back, I think I clicked on ethnicity, and there were like Chinese and Filipino and Ethiopian. There were all these ethnicities, and it was great. But while some had like 300, 200 plus books, there were also ethnicities that had just one or just two. So I don't know if it's just there's not that many books, or perhaps the website isn't curating these books and they're out there, but that's one thing I noticed, that there are still underrepresented groups and we still have the work to do. How this can be utilized in the classroom. It allows educators to make informed decisions regarding the books their students are reading. It allows educators to sort through different categories, filters, to find a perfect book for their purposes. And besides just educators or teachers. Students are also able to utilize the search engine because it's easy to use, as you saw. Um, they can find books that suit their interests, and it allows them to broaden their horizons and learn more, not just about their community, but also other underrepresented communities. So some benefits of using this in the classroom: it supports a more inclusive learning environment, it leads to more engaged students, it cultivates empathy in students, develops a broader worldview in students, as I've just mentioned, and it empowers students themselves. So some highlights of the program: there's a vast amount of books, as I've mentioned, featuring BIPOC characters. There are comprehensive search filters, as you saw. You can go back even. All this, all that, and you can select multiple filters at the same time, so you can get very specific. It allows those using the website to hone in on the content they are trying to read. There's a priority towards authentic representation, as I mentioned before. Diverse characters, not just for the sake of diversity, but also making sure that they're represented accurately and authentically, and in a way that readers can learn effectively. And there's also an extremely easy to use interface, as I mentioned multiple times. So with the highlights comes some pitfalls. There are still underrepresented communities and groups of people. As I mentioned, there are only some with like 1 or 2 books under the filter, which is not a great look. Again, I don't know if it's because of the lack of books out there or because the website hasn't curated them yet, but that's definitely something they could work on. There's no direct access to books, so this is a big one. So if we go back, you have the title, the author, the description, and the cover, but that's as far as it goes. So if you click it, there's no direct link to read the book or even just purchase the book. They don't even give you a link like, hey, here, you could purchase the book here, whether it's an ebook or physical copy. So I think if they implemented that, it would make the whole process of navigating the website that much more effective, rather than looking at the catalog on the website and then having to search it up afterwards or separately. So that's something they could work on. And then search filters sometimes produce an overlap. So just a personal example, when I was using the website myself, I chose the Spanish filter and got a recommendation for a book featuring an Egyptian character. So to their credit, 99% of the time, the filters are accurate. They produce, the results that you're looking for the books. But I think if they clean up that 1%, they'd be golden. So my final opinion, overall, I think Diverse BookFinder is a very solid resource. But if they were to clean up some of the pitfalls that I just mentioned, they would be great. They'd be perfect. So my final resource rating, given all the pitfalls and the highlights, is an 8 out of 10. So to finish off this video, just a couple questions for the viewer. Number 1, can you think of how this website could be utilized in a classroom? Could it be utilized year-round or only during certain times of the school year? Did the books that you used to read in school make you feel represented? And number 3, how do you distinguish between diversity being trendy versus being empowering? Thank you for watching. Have a great day.